Why do so many resolutions fail? Let's be honest, you've probably heard reasons like a lack of motivation, an ineffective system, or the wrong mindset. Well, those are all true, but the real answer is quite simple. Because we stop taking action. Yes, that means we just have to take actions to achieve any of our goals. But in reality, taking action isn't always that simple for two reasons. First, we're not robots, we're humans, which means it's not that easy to control our minds and actions than we might think. Second, achieving a goal is about the future. It requires investing time, energy, and resources over an extended period for something that isn't immediately tangible. In today's video, I'm going to talk about these specific obstacles that often hold us back from taking the actions we need to achieve our goals. More importantly, I'll be sharing 5 practical steps to overcome these challenges so you can stop procrastinating and finally actually make meaningful progress this year. These steps don't need to be applied in any particular order, but for each step, I'll be sharing how I personally navigated the mistakes I made and the obstacles I encountered along the way. The better your goals reflect who you are and connect with your true self, the more likely you are to succeed in achieving them. Knowing yourself better will help you set powerful, emotionally driven goals that truly motivate you. Goals you're more likely to remember every day and take consistent action towards. Have you ever experienced this? It happened to me for many years, and maybe you can relate. At the beginning of the year, you set ambitious goals for the year ahead. But after a month or two, the momentum fades, and staying consistent feels impossible. You might feel a bit guilty, but those feelings soon get drowned out by distractions like binge watching Netflix or endlessly scrolling on your phone. Then, as the new year rolls around, you feel obligated to set new goals, most of which are just copied and pasted from the previous year, with no real certainty that this time will be any different. You watch and read countless tips and tricks for achieving goals. They all make sense, but when you try to actually incorporate them into your daily life, somehow, it feels completely different in practice. I went through the same cycle repeatedly until I finally discovered the missing piece that allowed me to achieve my goals with a sense of accomplishment and fulfillment rather than feeling empty and wasted. So, this brings us to the first and foremost step to take, one that many, including myself, often overlook: self-awareness. One of the biggest obstacles to achieving a goal is a lack of clarity about your direction or desired direction. And this lack of clarity often stems from not taking the time to reflect on yourself and understand which direction you truly want to head in. In other words, if you don't have a solid understanding of who you are, where you are, you'll feel uncertain about where you're heading or where you should be heading. As a result, those unclear goals won't inspire you to take the necessary steps. This is why the goal-setting process is so important. How you set your goal determines how you achieve them. For example, if you simply copy someone else's goals, wanting to look like them, be as financially successful as them, or follow someone else's idea of happiness, which I think there's nothing inherently wrong with that. However, you're more likely to struggle to achieve those goals because they lack an emotional connection or a compelling reason strong enough to guide your life. I won't go too in-depth into the goal-setting process in this video, but I want to highlight the most important aspects that actually contribute to achieving it. The key to setting reasonable, challenging, yet realistically attainable goals lies in self-awareness, understanding where you currently stand and what you're made of. No person knows you better than yourself. You have all the inside information, while others can only see or hear about you from the third point of view. So, take some dedicated time to reflect on yourself. Ask questions like, what bothered me the most? What do I want to change? What meaning am I seeking? What makes me happy or miserable? What is the most important thing in my life? Once you've answered these questions to some extent, use that insight to set your goals. Imagine yourself a year from now. Will those goals feel fulfilling and worthy of the time you invested? Looking back, I've set many goals, especially at the start of each new year. Some goals, however, were much easier to achieve. The work itself wasn't easy, but these goals felt more attainable because they aligned with my identity, excited me, and even had me eagerly planning my next steps the night before. These goals aligned with my deepest passion and values. I genuinely enjoyed the process of the journey, and I still do, whether it's letter writing, calligraphy, or building a business around them. In short, I realized that goals we choose to set plays a significant role in whether we actually achieve them. This doesn't mean the goals must always be perfect. You can pivot, adjust, or even choose a different mountain to climb. Through continuous trial and error, paired with consistent reflection, I've come to believe that the process of setting and striving towards goals gradually improves over time and guides you towards a destination you're less likely to regret. Quick bonus tips. I recommend keeping the number of goals to a maximum of 3 within the same time frame, as having too many can dilute your focus and create a higher entry barrier due to overwhelm. Also, set timelines or deadlines, preferably around 3 months. A shorter time frame, like 3 months instead of a year, helps you to stay focused and provide a clearer sense of attainability. With that said, find the goals that tell the story of your life for this year. Another significant reason that hinders us from taking daily action towards our goals is the feeling that we don't have enough time. The day passes so quickly. It feels like we haven't accomplished much, yet we're always occupied with something. Before we know it, it's already time to sleep, and the 24 hours in a day never seem enough. Moreover, the endless content to watch and countless leisure activities to enjoy are both a blessing and a curse. On top of that, we're not just busy, we crave the feeling of being busy. In the past, when I was working full-time and taking care of 2 little kids, I often felt like I was being dragged along by time with no moment to pause. To resolve this, one of the best strategies is to set aside specific time blocks that's completely empty. No entertainment, no distractions, no busy work. It could be just an hour or even just half an hour. No matter how busy we feel, almost everyone can find that amount of time in their day by being a little more intentional about how they spend it. During this time, start by pausing everything and allowing yourself to feel the boredom. Then shift your focus to taking deliberate action towards your goals. The things you know you need to do but find hard to initiate. It could be long overdue exercising, learning a new skill, or tackling a task for starting your side hustle. Dedicate this time specifically to do what you've planned. If you don't carve out specific time slots in your schedule, telling yourself, I'll exercise after I finish this show, or I'll start practicing in an hour, often leads to a procrastination. You're less likely to find the strength to break away from default routines and shift to meaningful, intentional actions if you rely solely on willpower. While some people can jump straight into action, for many of us, initiating the necessary steps towards our goals, even when we planned everything out, can be much harder than it seems. Plan and set aside an empty slot of boredom. If you're not going to work on towards your goal during that time, that day, then just simply do nothing. Let yourself feel bored. This pause can help reduce overstimulation from constant sources of instant gratification, allowing your brain to reset its dopamine system. By lowering your dopamine levels, you can gain the mental clarity and strength needed to refocus and begin something intentional. As you know from the famous book, Atomic Habits, James Clear suggests focusing on systems rather than goals. While goals are about the outcomes you want to achieve, systems are the processes that lead to those outcomes. So, what is a good system? It's one that makes your necessary actions a part of your daily routine or habit as easily as possible. Some systems are great, but they don't work for everyone. Even the best systems should be adapted to each individual to suit their needs. It's different from person to person. This is also why self-awareness and reflections are so important when it comes to setting both goals and systems. Constant reflection can help you identify what works and what doesn't, allowing you to build a system that suits your unique style and circumstances. For me, I couldn't find the time or energy to properly focus on pursuing my goals or passions during the day or evening, despite several attempts after work, dinner, and getting the kids to bed. So I created a routine around early mornings since I decided to wake up at 4:30 a.m. For others, however, it might be more effective to establish a routine in the evening or at night. You just need to find a routine that allows you to have more energy and focus. Also, a habit tracker is one of the systems I used and has immensely helped me to track how I'm doing with the necessary steps in the process. Here, these habits are specific actions I take to achieve the goals I've set. By reviewing and checking them off daily, I can see at a glance how I'm doing and stay consistent with my routine. By the way, the habit tracker is part of the 5-part journal that I'm currently using. If you're interested in learning more about it, here's a video you can watch. Since I use the habit tracker daily as part of my journaling routine, which takes just a few minutes before bed, I can easily spot when I've skipped taking action toward a certain goal. When that happens, I remind myself to prioritize it and do better the next day. Plus, I get to see my goals and the necessary actions written down every day, which also serves as a great reminder of where I'm heading constantly. I believe that achieving a goal often comes down to winning the daily spiritual battles. If someone says just taking actions will eventually lead to achieving a goal, well, as simple as it may seem, the real challenge lies in the uncertainty we have to deal with every day throughout the process. It may seem easy and simple when we hear and see other people's results after achieving their goals. However, to achieve any goal, you must invest significant time, energy, and resources. This often leads to situations where these thoughts like, how do I know this will actually work? What if the actions I'm taking are wrong? What if I can't make it? What if what I'm doing isn't enough? Or what if I'm climbing the wrong mountain? Creeps into your mind, creating doubt. So, when the destination of achieving a goal seems too far away, the simple truth no longer feels so simple. Along the way, you'll need to overcome countless false beliefs and self-sabotaging thoughts while striving to take consistent action every day. For me, as I started my business, YouTube channel, and even worked on losing some weight, I can honestly say that the biggest obstacle was the scary uncertainty that I had to face, both in my thoughts and feelings. I consider myself fairly disciplined and have no trouble following through on the actions I set to achieve my goals. However, I'm not the most fearless person, and dealing with those negative thoughts was the most difficult part of the process. Yes, my husband helped encourage me to keep going, and certainly quiet time in the mornings have been a huge help. But you have to acknowledge that there is a real risk involved when setting a goal and trying to achieve it. You can try to moderate the risk by optimizing what you can invest in your particular situation. But how you deal with that risk in your mind throughout the process ultimately determines the success of the journey. That's why having the right mindset is so important. Here are some ways I believe can help you develop that mindset. Having a mentor or sharing the journey with trustworthy, like-minded people can make all the difference. If finding a mentor is impossible, a virtual mentor can be just as effective. Whether through the books you read, the podcasts you listen to, or the YouTube videos you watch. This collective knowledge can provide valuable guidance through the stage you're currently navigating. Learning from the stories of those who have already reached certain milestones have been incredibly helpful for me, especially when I consider their previous failures or humble beginnings. In light of this, I believe this is why the journey itself is just as crucial as reaching the destination. The transformation you undergo along the way, particularly in reshaping your mindset, holds immense value in and of itself. Speaking of the right mindset, one of the doubts that often arises during the process is this the most effective and efficient method to achieve my goals? This question brings us to the next obstacle in achieving the goal, finding the balance between searching for better, more effective methods and actually taking action on them. This can be tricky because if you search forever for the perfect method, you'll likely never actually start or take the necessary action. However, if you rush ahead without thoroughly studying how to achieve your goal, you increase your chances of failure or even risk damaging your resources or even yourself. Take working out as an example. There are indeed better ways to approach it, methods that help you avoid injuries and transform your body in a healthy way. To achieve this, you need to learn from those who have already succeeded. For the longest time, I tried to grow my YouTube channel and build a community, but I didn't make much progress until I learned how to approach it effectively. I assumed the ideas I shared would naturally go viral and resonate with people. However, I eventually realized that most achievements in life require humility, continuous learning, and a willingness to embrace new strategies. So when you hear advices like, just start, just do it, I totally agree, but in reality, those who have better understanding of how to get there, whether through long-term know-how or necessary knowledge, have a better chance of succeeding. So the solution is to learn, study, and practice. The learning process may not seem to yield immediate results, but it's incredibly important because this is how you get there effectively eventually. At the same time, when you hear advice that you need to take a specific course or follow the best way to lose weight or succeed, you also have to remember, no matter how much time you spend learning, it won't move the needle unless you take the necessary action. Learning is meant to inspire action, not just to accumulate knowledge. So, gaining just enough knowledge to guide you towards your destination without feeling overwhelmed by excessive information is key to achieving your goals. For me, one of the best ways to find a healthy balance between learning better methods and taking action has been journaling and reflecting. Tracking what I've learned each day helps me prioritize learning time, even when it doesn't feel urgent. At the same time, it ensures I don't forget to apply those methods that I've learned by scheduling deep work sessions into my time blocking routine. Those are the 5 steps to keep in mind if you want to actually achieve the goals you've set or plan to set for this year. These 5 steps are interconnected. Each step plays a role in achieving the goal, and that they're all part of a unified process. And as cliche as it sounds, don't give up on setting a goal and the process of reaching it. Even the entire process of goal setting and achieving can improve as you practice consistently. Which of the obstacles I mentioned in the video apply to your situation? What area do you think you need to work on to make meaningful progress this year? Please share your thoughts in the comments. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!